Today I have a very special guest with us. His name is Zach Haas. He is a Wisconsin land professional with Base Camp Country Real Estate. He also is the owner of Creek Bottom Land Management. We're here to talk to Zach and see how he's doing, get a little background about him. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, Kix?
Oh, pretty good, man. You had an interesting past few weeks here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this bear hunt you went on, man?
So yeah, I started my season off here with my 2024 Wisconsin bear hunt, and just kind of a little background on our bear hunt. It took me 14 years to get the tag. So it's hard to believe that I was pretty much in college last time I hunted a bear. And the next time I'll hunt them, I'll be into my 50s. So it's pretty wild just how long it takes to hunt a bear. But it was a lot of work, baiting myself, public land hunting. We have some property, but neat experience bringing my kids, my nephews, and things like that up there. But yeah, we were going after a bear that's probably between 400 to 500 pounds at first. And that bear ended up leaving the property. Couldn't really get on him. We had a really rare phase change bear, cinnamon phase. But ultimately, when you put all that time in, you're waiting and waiting, and you want to get it done. It was a lot of waiting, but because it's one of those things that I was running up probably every 2 to 3 days just to bait. So it's pretty much between doing land management, real estate, and bear baiting. That was my life in August and July.
Well,
but no, got a good. Yeah. I mean, with my bow, I got a good bear that's dressed right around 200 pounds. Has a blaze on its chest too, so pretty cool. It should make a pretty awesome mount.
I got to go on a bear hunt in Missouri last year, and man, Missouri makes it dang near impossible to kill a bear down here. So the way Missouri works is they just started, I think this is their 4th year with a bear season, and they only allow, they give out like, I think 400 tags. That sounds right.
Okay.
But they only allow a certain amount in each zone. So we have 3 different zones. We have zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. And I think zone 1, they allow like 15 bears to be killed. Zone 2, it's like 12 or something. And I think maybe the same in zone 3. But anyway, those numbers could be off a little bit, so don't quote me on that.
Sure.
That's pretty close. And they don't allow baiting. They don't allow, they have all kinds of rules and regulations on it. And I drew a tag last year on the 3rd year that they did it here in Missouri. And didn't have any luck, but it was awesome. I got to get out there and hunt for 7 days, and it was a pretty cool experience anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that makes it super difficult because I know Kentucky, we went bear hunting too, and same rules. You couldn't bait. You could use hounds for a certain season they had set up. But me, I like to hunt them like I hunt deer and, wait for something to show up. But same thing, none of our guys could shoot a bear because you're just hoping and praying one decides to walk the trail. So yeah, that makes it way more difficult. Up here we can bait pretty much every day up to 10 gallons of bait. So, I mean, you're bringing 2 5-gallon buckets out and put it in a stump. Now you have something you can hunt over.
Well, talk to us a little bit about Creek Bottom Land Management. So tell us a little bit about that, man. How'd you get started in that and how long you've been doing it?
Yeah, so Creek Bottom Land Management, I started that in 2015, and honestly, kind of where it all started with that. So I've been an aquatic biologist for the past 20 years, and when I kind of was sitting back and actually talking to my dad back then, and we we're talking about like niches in the industry and all that stuff. And well, my niche was always water, and so I had a biology background, all this stuff, and I wanted to go, okay, how can I bring my education, my biology degree, all this into it, and then mesh my absolutely crazy obsession with whitetails and blend them together. So I started doing, educational stuff, and I did some like deer schools, you could call them, where I talked about wildlife ponds and I talked about how to design placement, all that. And then with that kind of got Creek Bottom going. So then now I phased out of, my aquatic biology position career, and now I'm full time doing habitat restoration and habitat manipulation on people's properties. And that's been super rewarding. There's nothing cooler than getting a text or call from a client, and they've essentially have shot, let's say their son has shot their first buck, or, they bring a daughter out to shed hunting, whatever it might be. But that's been super, super rewarding.
So when did you get involved in that, you said?
So Creek Bottom, I started in 2015. And so almost going to be on my 10th year here coming up, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, we're looking at some of your pictures here online right now, man. And You've killed quite the selection of animals out there. So
You could say I'm crazy. I love getting out. I love going to different states, different areas, challenging myself, and I kind of push myself. I mean, yeah, my wife probably thinks I'm nuts, but for myself, it's all about I love the challenge. Like when I went down to Kentucky, for instance, last couple of years, we had a lease that was 3,500 acres, but it was all Appalachian Mountains. I mean, there was no agriculture. It was all big timber. Climbing from, I think our lowest elevation on that property was just above 900 feet. The highest was 1,800. So we were climbing up and down these bluffs, and where there's only 2 deer per square mile there we were hunting, and I was still able to shoot a buck and a doe off that property. So I love the challenge.
yeah,
It just, yeah, but yeah, like I've 2 years ago, I went and shot a buffalo. I shoot bears, turkey. I want to get elk hunting, mule deer hunting, you name it. It's all I think about.
got to try it. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Now, how'd you go from all that, man, to, land management and the wildlife biology and all that? How did that evolve into real estate for you?
Yeah. So it was actually, I was looking kind of for a career change. I had a very successful career as an aquatic biologist here in Wisconsin, and it just kind of a point where I felt like I did what I could in that industry. And so I wanted to start broadening my horizons. So I actually was on the verge of kicking off my land management full time and diving both feet in. And that's when I actually got contacted by our owner, Craig Swears. And we got talking about doing land management work for base camp clients and all this work. And then he just asked, he goes, "Have you ever thought about real estate?" I go, "Well, actually, I have." So it just kind of honestly, through God's blessing and way, we kind of found each other, and then it works perfect. They mesh well with land management and that. Like I was on actually a recent listing that Craig and I are working on, where I'm out there and he's just like, "Man, you just love this." I'm like, "Yeah, I can see the vision. I can see the what people could turn the property into. That's where
Yeah.
I love and I shine."
I'm the same way, man. I'm a very, I guess you could call me creative type of person. I get
Yep.
out there and look at these listings and these land deals I'm doing, and man, I've got all kinds of crazy ideas for my clients and how to, just a
Well, you
matter of
gotta,
how
right?
much. Yeah, yep. It I
And to
really
me,
love
that's
that.
why that's what's so cool about like base camp, and obviously a lot of the agents that we work with, is the fact that so many of us have that vision. We have background in the hunting and habitat and all this stuff. So it's even cool when we talk to different people. Like I know you had Pat McFadden on, and you talked about Tom James and all these different guys that have all this background, and then we
Yeah.
all bounce ideas. I mean, you want to talk about a room of crazy smart individuals. That's
Oh yeah.
that's what it is.
Well, that's what I was saying, man. Like we got so much knowledge in this company. It's ridiculous. Not only with real estate, but land management, wildlife management,
Yeah,
game management, like you name it. It's awesome because anybody that buys a property from anybody that works at base camp country, you
yeah.
can just ask your agent, "Hey, what should I do with this?" And they're going to be more than happy to help you
Oh,
out.
absolutely. And that's one thing I was kind of happy to bring to base camp was my knowledge of, like, especially here in Wisconsin, but the regulation of water. I mean,
Yeah.
our regulation is crazy up here. I don't know how it is down in Missouri, but like for us, there's a lot of hoops and loops. And now to bring that to the team and help people guide through that path of, can you put ponds here? Can you work on this stream? Can you do culverts? Can all those different things? I mean, I worked with our Department of Natural Resource for 20 years. So knowing all those hoops and loops, I think is important.
Yeah. I don't think it's quite as restricted probably as you guys are up there in Wisconsin, but we do have some of that down here. So I met you back in June at our, I
Yep.
think it was in June, a
Yeah.
national
Sounds right. Sounds
sales
right.
meeting. Yeah.
Yep.
I enjoyed talking to you up there, getting to know you a little bit, man. You had some awesome stories and stuff. We talked quite a bit up there, and so we're glad to have you part of the team, man. And you've been at base camp for what, about 6 or 8 months now?
Yeah, I mean, if that, yeah, because I think I finally got done with all my real estate training, all that stuff around May finally. So yeah, 4 or 5 months. It's been short, but learning a lot and honestly ready to get people on properties.
You guys' season opened up a couple days ago up there in Wisconsin, huh?
Yep.
Had a chance to
Yeah,
go yet?
our bow season's been open since the 14th. So we're kind of, I think you guys kind of open around the same time, but like for us, we're in that weird gap where you can't velvet hunt, but it's earlier than all the other seasons, which to me, I wish we could get that velvet hunting a little bit more up here.
Yeah.
But no, I've been going out. I've been after a pretty good deer. It's one of those things I always challenge myself. I want to get a 4 to 5 year old plus deer, and my goal is, and I kind of push myself that every year I got to do it. Just a little bit with the habitat management and all that kind of stuff. But I've been after probably about a 160s deer, 14 point. And so I've gone out, shot a doe, and the coolest thing this year so far, though, is I actually got my nephew on his first bow buck. So that was pretty cool to get him
Awesome.
his first, a buck with a compound bow, and he smoked it. So that to me was worth the whole season. But yeah, so
Absolutely.
now I'm just kind of waiting for that seek phase for, that first October cold front to hit us.
When you go out deer hunting every single year, how often would you say that you're successful in harvesting a deer? A good buck.
I mean, every single year I'll shoot one. Knock on wood. But I think it's since I've started hunting, there's only been maybe 3 seasons I didn't shoot a buck.
Nice.
But with that said, I also go out of state too. Like I go to Kansas every other year. I go to Iowa when I can. I've been down to Missouri. Like been hunting Kentucky last few years. So I also put myself in those avenues to get a buck. And but usually like my goal is always to get one deer up here in Wisconsin at least. We are our 2 buck state, so we can shoot one with our bow and our gun. And then actually, if you get down in our CWD zone, if you shoot a buck and it tests positive for CWD, they'll give you another buck tag. So guys down there, they can just cycle and repeat it.
We just got put in the CWD zone down here in my county, and that's going to be a new challenge this year, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's depending on how they take it. Like I know Kentucky, even where we hunted, they had CWD there, and their biggest thing is like you couldn't you had to pretty much butcher your deer right away, so you couldn't bring the spinal cord, brain, lymph nodes, any of that kind of matter cross state lines. So you
Yeah.
had to kind of teach everyone how to cape just in case you did shoot a big deer. But with that said, like our state, even we just have it where you can't bait. That's probably our biggest regulation right now. There might be a
Yeah.
couple counties left, but even the couple counties that can bait, it's only 2 gallons, which one fat raccoon will eat in a night. So
Right. Well, we can't bait in Missouri no matter what. So we can up until, well, we used to be able to up until 2 weeks before season. And this year, all the CWD counties, they added, I think
yep.
like 14 or 15 new counties. You can't even do that this year. You can't even put it out. So,
Because I know when I used to hunt it, and maybe this is that rule change you're talking about, like because I hunt Northwest Missouri, and
yeah.
what I liked about it is that you can use them as mineral, all the way up to 2 weeks before season, so you can at least get deer there, vitamins or nutrients and everything that way. I always liked that rule. So is that gone now?
Yeah. That's, well, in the CWD
Okay,
counties, yeah. You can't even
gotcha.
put out mineral. You can't put out corn. You can't, I mean, nothing, literally nothing.
Yeah,
So it's a big change this year. And I think a lot of people are still figuring that out, in the state of Missouri. But yeah,
yeah,
you're not even supposed to put nothing out. So no mineral licks or any of that.
yeah, yeah. And to me,
But
like I'm such a advocate for mineral. That's one thing I wish was even for us. I wish we could do a little bit more mineral. I get the feed a little bit, but it just got to get you on top of your food plot game, water hole game, and all that. I guess.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. When, just makes us going to have to hunt over food plots this year. You're going to have to find you a food plot or a good water
Yep.
source this year. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm planning on hunting some deep timber this rifle season, man. I got a spot that I'm going to go a couple hours away, and I'm going to get off down in the deep, deep hollers. And I think I got a pretty good chance where I'm going to go, but we'll see.
Nice. So one thing. So we hunted in Nottoway County. So we were right by Iowa there. And when we had that lease down there, it was amazing how bow hunting. It didn't seem like there was a lot of bow hunters, but man,
Yeah.
once gun season kicked off, that was a different animal.
Yeah, man, it gets insane around here during rifle season. You get,
Yeah,
well, part of the problem, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, but out of state tags are so cheap in Missouri.
yeah,
Everybody and their brother comes over here during rifle season from out of state to hunt.
yeah.
And I think they need to raise the prices up a little bit, try to keep some of that, out of here. Because,
Well, especially for you guys. I mean, when you have Iowa to the north, I think what the tag right now is like $650 or something around there. Then
yeah,
Kansas is almost there now. So yeah, for you guys, you're kind of in that void of two expensive states, and now both need preference points. So yeah, I could see a lot of people like, oh, let's just head over to Missouri. It's a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you buy over the counter tag. I don't know how much it costs, like $300 or something, and
Yep.
you come here and hunt the whole entire season. So it really does add a bunch of out of state hunters, and it makes it very tough. And I mean, we call them the Orange Army around here, and man,
Yep.
it's kind of scary sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, especially if you're hunting on public grounds.
Yep. Yeah. Even like
Yeah,
on my lease, I remember sitting opening day, and we were after a couple good bucks, and that was back in 2012. So that was when that EHD hit really hard, and
yeah,
so we didn't have a lot of bucks to give away at that point. But I remember sitting there opening day, and suddenly this truck comes down the property line to the north of us, and I'm like, what's going on here? Guy goes out, parks his truck on top of the hill, gets out, puts his orange vest on, goes back in his truck, rolls his window down, and that was his blind. It's like, oh
wow,
boy.
just hunting right out of his truck, huh?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, so that was interesting because even like we had two leases, and the other lease was kind of just a ditch draw, and it was pretty good when the corn was up. But yeah, like my dad was hunting that one, and he had a group from Texas that was out of state came up, and they drove the ditch line while he was in there hunting. Like it was lawless.
Yeah, we hunt on some public ground down in, well, I won't say where it's at, but we hunt on some public ground, and
Yeah.
it's actually it's relatively quiet considering, and that's why I'm not going to say where it's at. But anyway, we get a little bit of that too, man. We get some people driving in on four wheelers and driving in the trucks, and
Yep.
they'll just drive right up on you, and you're like at
Yep.
4 o'clock in the afternoon too, man. You're like, what are you doing, dude?
And there again, that's why I think I, and other agents like that's why land's so dang important. When you can have that and have that little bit of separation, I
Yep.
mean, it's worth its weight in gold.
Well, the only reason that we go hunt these public grounds is because my entire family has been hunting the same spot for 30 years. And so
Sure.
we
Yep.
go set up camp and we hunt that first weekend out there and just get together as a family, and 20 of us
Absolutely.
that join in, and it's a great time. And then after, Monday or Tuesday, we'll head back home and hunt the
Yep.
rest of the time on our private grounds. So,
No, and that's awesome because like that camaraderie, the hunting camps, even us up here, that was always such a big deal. Was going up Friday before opener, you get together, you go to a supper club, and all this stuff, and that's honestly fading away, and it's sad. It's sad to see it.
yeah, it is, man. We got to get these kids involved a little more. And I love seeing
Yes.
kids out there in the outdoors hunting. They're the future. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because do you have kids, Kicks?
I've got four. Yep.
Okay.
I got a 19-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
Oh man, it's a long range. You got a wide
Oh yeah.
range there. So now are your oldest ones hunting with you already?
So my 19-year-old is the only boy I've got, and he hunts with me every year. My 16-year-old don't want any part of it, and the 7-year-old and the 6-year-old are still a little too young. So we'll
Yep.
get them out there
Yep.
eventually.
Yep. I have a 7-year-old boy. He'll be turning 8 this week, and I'm gonna tickle the turkey hunting with him this coming year. So he doesn't know yet, but he probably has a 410 in his future for Christmas. But so we'll see how he does with turkey hunting because at least it's like you mess up a turkey hunt, big deal. It's
Yeah.
just a turkey, but it's a most fun thing. I mean, I've done like I have a lot of nephews, and yeah, like I bring them out when I can, hunt with them when I can, but just to bring that back into the world and have these boys see it, because even for myself, so a little bit more background on me, but like I taught hunter safety for 13 years, and
Mm.
that was such a cool thing is just to bring these kids in. But even then, I saw that fading every year I taught. Suddenly we got less interest. Where almost
Yep.
you could see where the parents were forcing them there, and that was kind of sad to see. But to me, yeah, if you can bring other people's kids or whatever it is outdoors, that's so important. I mean, all these learn to hunt programs and youth hunt programs, stuff that way. But if you can get them out there, enjoy it, and get them off, the TV and their tablets and all that crap, the
Yep.
more the better.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. I can't wait till my little ones get, a little bit older, a little bit bigger. They're really tiny for their age, and they're just not
Yeah.
ready yet. But I think my youngest one, my 6-year-old, she's a daddy's girl, man, and she's follows me
Awesome.
around everywhere I go. And so I think she'll definitely be ready. I'm not sure about my 7-year-old yet, but we'll
Yep.
see how that
Yep.
goes. So
Awesome. Awesome.
that 6-year-old, man, she wants to be right there. If I'm outside, running the tractor or whatever I'm doing,
Yep.
she wants to be up there with me. So I know she'll go.
And that's what it's about, right? I mean, even it's like my boy for the last, I don't know, 3, 4 years, all he's ever wanted to be is a police officer. And,
Yep.
as a parent, I'm like, that's cool, but I also don't want you in a line of fire. And just recently he goes, Dad, I want to be a cop, but I think I'm going to do what you do and just run tractors. I'm like, I like that. I like that. Yep.
There you go. Stay safe that way for the most part.
Yep. Correct.
My 19-year-old, man, he gets out there and hunts with me and he has a blast. He just a couple years ago, he started, going out by himself there for many years. He was just sitting with Dad, and
Yep.
let me tell you something, man. First time that boy, we were out, I took him out opening day a couple years ago, and we went out, sat in the blind together, and we're just sitting there. Didn't see nothing. And so anyway, we come back in, grabbed a bite to eat for lunch, and got done with lunch. He's like, Dad, he said, I want to go by myself. I said, all right. I said, you sure about that? And he's like, yep. I said, okay. I said, well, you want to go out there where we was sitting this morning? I said, I'll go find somewhere else to go, and he said, no. He said, why don't you put me somewhere else? You can go back out there. I said, okay. So I found him a good spot that I thought he'd, have some luck at. And I walked him over there and I walked him into the woods. I said, here's what I want you to do. Set up your blind right here. I told him how to do it and
Yep.
left him there and I walked out and I went back over to my spot. And man, the whole time I was sitting over there, I was just a nervous wreck. Yeah. Just having him out there by himself and man, it made for, I guess, just the dad in me, but I was
Yep.
a nervous wreck.
Yep.
Tired. Anyway, I got over there in my spot and I was sitting there for about, I don't know, hour and a half, and big old buck come out and I shot it, and I felt really bad
Awesome.
because he could have had that spot.
Yeah.
But he chose
Sure.
not.
Yeah.
I sent him a picture. I said, Bud, you should have chose to come over here. He was so mad.
That's awesome. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what that's fun. That's awesome.
Yeah, he had a good time, and he's been going out by himself ever since. And so, I'm not as nervous anymore. But man, that first time I was a wreck.
I can imagine, like, even I look back when I first started hunting and it was like opening weekend of bow. And I remember my dad just dropped me off my stand. He's like, well, good luck. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay. And now it's like, and that's one thing cool. I've seen that switch where I think dads and, especially hunting dads, obviously, I think they're more involved and they want to sit with their kids. They want to kind of hold their hand more. Whereas I feel like we kind of got raised in the day and age where it's like, well, good luck, buddy. Slap on the butt and get out there.
yep, figured out.
Yeah. Well, and even or two, like the blinds and all the different avenues now you can hunt with kids and all that stuff too is greatly improved as well. It's not sitting on the ground next to a tree and, and hoping something happens.
I never got a chance to go hunting with my dad. I started hunting by
Yeah.
myself when I was 14 years old. And
Okay.
man, I literally taught myself. And so
Yep.
I had no idea what I was doing, but we got it done, and I've been addicted
Awesome.
ever since. So
Yep. It's a good addiction. I think it is.
I question myself sometimes, but
Right.
I'm
Yep.
getting up at
Nope,
2
I hear
o'clock in
you.
the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning to drive somewhere to do a waterfowl hunt, or whatever.
Yep.
It's like, I'm an idiot.
That's even like waking up first thing in the morning. What do? I roll over, look at my phone, check all my cell cams. That's the first thing I do. It's not good morning to my wife or anything. It's I got to see if that deer showed up.
Yeah. Yeah. I woke up this morning, man. It was a nice crisp 45 degrees. And I was like,
Yep.
man, I should have been out this morning.
So have you guys been pretty dry down by you this year too?
Oh man, it's bad. We're in a real
Okay.
bad drought. We haven't had any rain here for probably 5 or 6 weeks at least. And I just watched the news the other day. They said they're not expecting any for at least 2 more weeks. So yeah, we're bad dry.
Yeah, I've never seen nothing like it, and and that's what worries me. It's like a little bit like with my background with being an aquatic biologist. You talk EHD with deer, and I actually just did a podcast. Oh, was it? I think last week. Then I have one coming up here with actually deer and deer hunting. I'm gonna be doing a podcast about EHD as well. But this drought is not helping things with that. That is going to get continue to be worse and worse. Now, granted, we might get some of these cold frosts and that'll kill that midge that is the root cause of all it. But
Yeah.
man, I've been talking to guys in Ohio, Missouri, Iowa, and it's not looking pretty.
Yeah, we haven't seen it down here in my specific area yet, but I know some guys up in North Missouri, they've been seeing it, and yeah, it's pretty bad this year from what it sounds like. So
Yeah,
it might be a rough hunting season for everybody.
yeah, yeah. We need, because we're in the same boat. We haven't had. I think we've only had one substantial rain in 2 months. I mean, it's unreal. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Everything's hurting.
I mean, I couldn't even tell you honestly the last time I had to mow my yard. It's been that long. So
Which is one of those things. It's not a bad thing, but also
yeah,
it's like okay, I could use the rain. It's
yeah.
nice not having to mow, but
It's like walking in the Mojave Desert out there, man. Just
I
picking
know.
up dust everywhere. It's bad.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't know. Like I know they say a little bit it's the hurricanes kind of drawing the moisture down and all that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
man, I don't like it. Like we had a rain. I don't know when that one rain was, like 3 weeks ago, and I just sat there staring out the window. And it's like every meme you see where like the guy's sad just staring out the window at the rain, except for I was actually smiling.
Yeah. My hope is that when it finally does rain, that it comes a nice, slow, easy
Yes.
rain, not a real hard, heavy rain, because we'll get flooded out.
Oh, 100%. Because in there too, like I remember even like where I hunt in Kansas, for instance, and there's some of those years that was so dry that the only crops that were alive were in those center pivots, and everything
Yeah.
outside was deader than a doornail. So I mean, because I think you're kind of in where you're at. I think you were kind of in line where I used to hunt, or where I hunt in Kansas. Like I'm in central Kansas where I hunt,
Hmm.
so you must not be too far from that line. But when it gets hot and warm down there, unreal.
Yeah. It gets really hot down here. I'm in Southwest, kind of in the southwest corner, about
Yep.
an hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes away from Kansas. So yeah, we're right down here in the midst of Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Kansas, all kind of together.
Yep.
I can
Yep.
reach any one of those states in an hour flat. So
Man, that's a different world than up here. We're just up in the Northwoods where we just don't know if it's going to be cold or very cold. A little different.
I tell you, man, when we came up there in June for our national sales meeting, me and my wife, and we got the kids up there, we just absolutely loved it up there, man. The weather was perfect. It was like 84 degrees
Yep.
in the middle of June. I was like, man, I could live here.
Yeah.
Get back home a couple days
Yeah.
later, it's 100 degrees and humidity of 90%. And you're like,
Yep. Yeah. That's what I couldn't not even realize too. Like when I started working in Kansas with an outfitter, I mean, we went down a couple times where it was 115 to 120.
yeah,
And so he'd be like, all right, guys, we got to wake up around 2:30 in the morning to get these plots done. I'm like, because I'm not used to having to wake up at night to do stuff so it doesn't get too hot. That's a little different world for me.
yeah, man. It's not even necessarily the heat down here. It's that dang humidity, man.
Yep. Yep.
Humidity is what kills you.
100%. Yep.
You just walk outside and instantly start sweating to death.
Yeah, I don't need that.
We get some pretty cold winters too down here, but probably not nearly as cold as you guys get up there. But we have some days.
Yeah, and we'll have spurts of it. I mean, like we've had a couple of years where you'll go and it'll be like 30 to 40 days straight below zero.
Yeah,
That's our winters, and getting a 40-degree day, it's like everyone's in shorts and t-shirts up here. So it's you know, but no, it gets cold, and then like last year we had a really mild winter, which was great for the deer herd. We had a lot of good fawn survival, and it was great for turkeys and grouse and quail. But I mean, yeah, there's some years we'll get, and you look outside and there's 2-3 feet of snow on the ground, and you can't do nothing. You're just stuck in your house. And that's probably
yeah.
why like some of the drunkest cities in the U.S. is in Wisconsin. But
Get bored.
yeah,
That's hilarious. We get some pretty hefty wind chills down here, but that's the biggest thing in this area is those wind chills.
yeah, 100%. That's yeah. Even in Kansas, once again where I hunted, I couldn't. The winds down there, like for us, we'll get windy days, but nothing like you guys down there all get. I mean, when I'm down there hunting, he goes, it's the deer are used to 25, 30 degree or 30-mile-per-hour winds,
Yeah,
and our deer would be running all over the place and be like, nope. Whereas those deer feel like if it slows down, they get edgy. They're so used
yeah,
to that wind down there.
yeah. You really got to pay attention to the wind down here. probably more so than a lot of areas,
Yeah.
That's a big way to ruin a hunt real quick, not paying attention to that wind.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it gets difficult too because the wind around here swirls a lot, and I mean it does all kinds of crazy crap. But if you never hunted Southwest Missouri, man, come on down. It's definitely a challenge.
Oh, that's what I'm about, man. The more challenge, the better. Plus, I have this weird thing. I love taxidermy. Like I have a bad addiction with taxidermy, and I told my wife, I'm like, every state I hunt, I want to get a buck from. So then
Yeah,
I can look down the wall and be like, well, that's this state's buck, that's this state's buck, and that's this state's buck. I mean, my house is not big enough for that, but I'll figure it out. It's fine.
yeah. Well, that's all you got to do. Figure it out, man.
Yep.
I was going to say, you probably hunted mostly up in northern Missouri when you
Yeah,
came down here.
correct.
Yeah. Well, come down to southern Missouri, man. Southwest Missouri, the terrain is a whole different ball game down here than it is up in northern Missouri. So,
What kind of terrain do you guys kind of have? Are you more hilly, or what are you kind of dealing with down there?
yeah, man, we're right in the middle of kind of what we call the Ozark Mountains, So, yeah, we got a lot of wooded areas, a lot of trees, and a lot real very hilly. The Ozark
Yeah.
Mountains are not mountains like everybody thinks of mountains, but for whatever reason, that's what they call them down here.
Sure. Yeah, that was a little bit kind of what I kind of a little bit what I hunted in Kentucky. I mean, it was you couldn't see anything,
Yeah,
Whereas, yeah, you start going like even up here, we have a little bit of that. We have like Southwest Wisconsin is all bluff country,
yeah,
there's a reason why that area of our state has so many boone and crockett deer shot every year. They can
yeah,
hide. You won't find them. Where I'm at, I'm in swamp country, so we're in cattail marshes, flatland, barely any hills,
yeah,
so and big agriculture. So it's not super challenging that way. Like our wind will swirl a little bit, but like I'm sure like down by you guys, your wind's probably always swirling and you can't even predict the stuff where it's coming from.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely a challenge down here, man. I mean, but it's fun. I don't uh,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of luck every year, but it's not for lack of trying.
Yeah, right. Yep, yep. And that's when the old timer will step in and be like, that's why it's hunting, not killing, right?
Yeah, yeah. Boy, it gets aggravating sometimes. I tell you.
Yeah,
I get
absolutely.
there was one time I went a couple years without killing a big buck or any buck at all, and man, it gets depressing. You're like, why am I even doing this?
Yeah, and then you go to like our national sales meeting, meet and talk to like Dean, the broker from Indiana there, and he shows you, oh, here's the three Boone and Crockett bucks in one video. It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's why I do this right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, brother, we've got a pretty good episode here. I want people to get on TikTok and follow this guy. And how do they find you on TikTok? Like,
Yeah, so it's my tagline is just creek bottom land. So creek bottom dot land. But yeah, I try to bring as much educational, content as I can. Usually it's all food plot based, but just tips, tricks, no tilling and poor man's food plots, different ways to find the deer, different cool habitat features. But I love talking habitat and trying to improve everyone else's hunt. It drives me. But yeah, I'm active on there. Instagram, I do quite a bit as well. I'll do reels and photos and little quizzes and stuff. Like right now, I have a couple clover species up there that I'm waiting for someone to guess correctly. But yeah, with that said, I love that stuff, man.
follow this guy on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever, and he'll promise you he'll feed you full of knowledge. And I'm sure, I'm sure he's more than happy to answer any questions you guys have. You want to shoot him a message or give him a phone call. So, Zach, you got anything
Absolutely.
else, man? Do you want to bring up or discuss here while we're
No,
at?
I mean for me, I'm just pretty much waiting for the next cold front, which is next week. And for anyone hunting, that's a big deal. Get out there for that first October cold front. I know I'm waiting on it, and I'm excited. I'm excited to get back out there and see some scrapes, some rubs, and hopefully shoot something. Just so my boy can stop asking me every time I go bow hunting.
Yeah, we haven't had our cold front down here yet. I mean, it's gotten down to like 40,
Yep.
45, but that's about it. So we're
Yep.
still waiting on ours too. And man, I'm ready for it. I'll be out
Absolutely.
there. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you joining us this morning, and thanks for taking the time to be on this podcast and it's getting to
Absolutely.
know you a little bit, man.
Awesome. Thank you much, Kix.
Yeah, guys, if you need anything land management wise or looking for some real estate, got some land you want to sell, or you're looking to buy some land up in Wisconsin, give Zach a call. Great guy, very knowledgeable. He's more than happy to help you out. I appreciate you guys tuning in to episode number 5 of the Base Camp Country podcast with Zach Haas. Zach, have a good day, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you much. Take care.